welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. I am a retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years of law enforcement. And if you like all things true crime related from the police and detectives perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you will get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload another video. Today we're going to talk about Gonzalo Lopez, the escaped prisoner out of Texas. Leon County is going nuts right now. They need to find this guy and bring him back to justice. He's serving 2 life sentences. He is a Mexican drug cartel associate. This is a bad mother. He is bad. Guys, if you're not yet subscribed, consider subscribing. I want to say a special thank you to all the Patreon supporters, the channel members, the guys and girls who subscribe and hit the thumbs up button, leave us comments, all of the folks who watch the replays and the mods. The DutyRon mod squad is out of this world. You guys are some of the best on YouTube. So thank you to the mods, keeping it fresh and keeping it clean for all the live chatters and making it respectful if need be and jumping in. So thank you to the mod squad. Guys, this case is just driving me crazy right now because we talk about safety and we talk about checking and rechecking of prisoners. And I worked in the New York City Police Department. I went out to other jurisdictions and picked up prisoners every day. It was part of my job. So when a prison personnel searched my prisoner who I was picking up, I would research that person. I would search him again, even if he was searched by somebody else, because you got to always assume that they have something on him. We're going to hear about this Gonzalo Lopez having some type of weapon to stab the driver of the bus, the corrections officer. We're also going to hear that he used maybe that same object to cut underneath and slide and shimmy underneath the gate that keeps the corrections driver safe from the inmates in a situation like this. And it's just crazy. It is just so crazy. So it is something that we need to talk about, but also the folks down in Texas and along the Texas-Mexico border and everybody in the surrounding areas, you got to be on high alert because this is a dangerous, dangerous guy. So I want to play, this is from yesterday. This is day 2. This is the afternoon briefing, and then I will update you right up to current day on what they're looking at here from today. But this is from yesterday afternoon. I want you guys to see this and hear it. Department of Justice, Department of Corrections, representative here.
I want to give you an update. The search for Gonzalo Lopez continues in the area west of Centerville, Texas in Leon County. He escaped yesterday afternoon at about 1:20 from a transport bus that was headed from Gatesville to Huntsville. He was on his way with other inmates to a medical appointment in Huntsville on the transport bus. Transport bus had 16 inmates on it, along with 2 correctional officers. The other 15 inmates did not escape. They are still in our custody. Gonzalo Lopez is out there somewhere. We are continuing our search for him. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice is now offering a $15,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and capture of Gonzalo Lopez. The information on how to provide that information, either by way of an anonymous tip, will be on our social media pages shortly: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. There's also a link on our website, www.tdcj.texas.gov. Again, that is a $15,000 reward. Stand by. Okay. Again, $15,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and capture of Gonzalo Lopez. He is a very dangerous person. He has a capital murder conviction out of Hidalgo County. He also has an attempted capital murder conviction out of Webb County. He killed a man in 2005 with a pickaxe after kidnapping the man and asking for a ransom for his return. When that was not done, he killed the man with a pickaxe. He also had an accomplice who we still don't know who that was. He also fired shots at a sheriff's deputy in Webb County. So this man is a very dangerous person. If you see him, do not attempt to take him into custody by yourself. Contact 911, have local law enforcement deal with him. He is someone not to be reckoned with by yourself. Any questions?
Is there any indication at all that he may have had help?
It's an ongoing investigation. Can't answer that right now. Now, let me tell you about what I told some folks this morning. You weren't here, so let me go ahead and tell you about what happened yesterday. Yesterday, as the bus was heading eastbound on Highway 7 from Gatesville to here in Centerville, about 1.5 miles west of here, somehow he was able to gain access into the driver's compartment of the bus. He began struggling, fighting with the driver, the correctional officer of the bus. They got into a fight. The officer smartly and heroically pulled the bus over to the side of the road. When the bus got over to the side of the road, he and the inmate got out of the bus and continued to struggle and fight each other outside of the bus. There was another officer that was in the back of the bus with a shotgun. That officer, stand by just a minute. I'm sorry. That officer got out of the back of the bus through the emergency door, fired 2 shots into the rear tires of the bus to disable it. During that moment, the inmate got back on the bus. The officer that he had been struggling with, he had tried to get his service weapon on his side. He was able to get it off of he was able to get the belt off of his waist, but he did not get the weapon out of the holster. He didn't understand how to get it out of what we call a 3-point. He didn't understand how to get it out of the 3-point. We have the gun in our possession. He never had possession of the gun as he fled from the scene. But he got back behind the wheel of the bus, continued driving the bus about another mile down the road with the flattened back tires. He then lost control of the bus, went off of the side of the road about 1.5 miles west of here. That's when the officers caught up with him, or caught up to the bus. They ran down the road and they fired shots at him as he was running across the cow pasture. We don't think he got hit. They fired both their service weapons and a shotgun in his direction as he was headed northbound through the cow pasture. Last we saw him, he was in all white garb, white shirt, white pants. Don't know if he's still dressed like that or not. He's now been out there for almost 24 hours. This happened at 1:20 yesterday afternoon. So, again, $15,000 reward now being offered for the arrest, for any information leading to the arrest and capture of Gonzalo Lopez. Any other questions?
Yeah, so you mentioned that he somehow got to the front of the bus. I'm assuming that there's almost a barricade that separates back.
Yes, ma'am. There is a door. There's a door that separates the seated area for the inmates from the compartment where the officer is seated. It's a door with some wire mesh around on this side. Somehow, we don't know yet how that happened, he got up underneath. He used some type of a device to cut out the bottom of that door.
This is what I was talking about, that he was able to use a device to actually cut out the metal wire that is underneath the bottom frame of the cage. He's calling it a door. It's a cage that, protects the driver from the inmates if one of them was to get loose, or all of them were to get loose. So that's like the cockpit door at an airplane. It's just wire meshed, so you can kind of, it's breathable, so and so visible, so you could see what's going on back there. There was no cameras on this bus. There was no video cameras, which it should have been equipped with that. But he's going to describe what I had just described to you, how this guy got a weapon. He was searched by prison officers at the facility before he was loaded onto that bus. I hope and pray that the driver and his partner in the back searched every one of those prisoners as well. Because if they did, then not just one set of people missed it, 2 set of people missed it. And I'm hoping and praying that there was something that went wrong here, or it was hidden so well that they couldn't see it. Something happened, and we need to get to the bottom of it. So let me just move this back so you can hear him describe what happened here. And this is unfreaking believable to even hear this. It just makes my skin crawl.
The seated area for the inmates from. He's now been out there for almost 24 hours. This happened at 1:20 yesterday afternoon. So, again, $15,000 reward now being offered for the arrest, for any information leading to the arrest and capture of Gonzalo Lopez. Any other questions?
Yeah, so you mentioned that he somehow got to the front of the bus. I'm assuming that there's almost a barricade that separates the back.
Yes, ma'am.
She asked about the barricade. For those of you who can't hear it, she said, I'm assuming there was a barricade between the prisoners and the driver. So now he's going to describe. Guys, I want you guys to listen to this because this is what makes it unbelievable. And yes, the U.S. Marshals and the FBI are searching for this guy right now.
There is a door. There's a door that separates the seated area for the inmates from the compartment where the officer is seated. It's a door with some wire mesh around on this side. Somehow, we don't know yet how that happened. He got up underneath. He used some type of a device to cut out the bottom of that door. He got down underneath the door. He crawled underneath the door, and when he got through that opening that he cut open, that's when he started struggling with the officer. Let me give you the name of the two officers. Officer Randy Smith was the driver of the bus. He was the one that suffered a puncture wound to his hand when he got in a fight with the inmate. The inmate used something to stab him. We don't know what that was just yet. He stabbed him in the hand. Officer Smith later discovered when he got home that he had also gotten punctured in the chest. How he didn't know that, we still don't know, but these are non-life-threatening injuries to Officer Smith. The other officer, Officer Jimmy Breiniger, the officer that was in the back with the shotgun, he was not hurt. He was the one that fired the two shots into the rear wheels of the bus to disable it so that it couldn't go further. The other inmates stayed on the bus. They were not able to get out of their restraints. Somehow, again, we don't know how. It's still under investigation. We don't know how he got out of his restraints to get up underneath that door and get into the driver's compartment.
So from my understanding, there's a front officer who was driving the bus and a back officer, and neither of them were able to spot Lopez when he was cutting down.
Correct.
And that gate, that front, that separates the front from the back, there was a lock on that gate.
What's confusing to me, she's asking about if there was a lock on the gate. He's going to say yes to that. So he didn't even get through the lock. He crawled underneath the petition because he was able to cut out parts of the petition with the whatever object or whatever item he had. And that just to me just doesn't smell right. Like, how is a prisoner getting an object not only to stab a corrections officer, but also to be able to cut out the barricade and crawl underneath it? It just sounds like something out of a movie. It just sounds unbelievable. And I asked this, I know it's a rural area. I know they're in the middle of the country. It's in the middle, between Houston and Dallas. But where was the chase car? Where was the backup that's supposed to follow these buses? I know here in Nassau County and in New York City, all the counties and all of the corrections here in New York State, when they're traveling in a bus with multiple inmates, 16 inmates, there's always a chase car, a car, either a four-wheeler or an SUV that's behind, and they're all armed guys in there. So where were they? And why wasn't that happening? This is an update from yesterday, Friday. The current reward is $22,500. But again, that's some of the questions that I have as a law enforcement professional. And this is how I see it done here in the Northeast. I guess it's done differently in different areas.
Yes, it is a secured door. There is a key that is used to open that, but he didn't use a key to open that door. He used some type of device. We don't know what. Some type of device to cut out the bottom of the door. There's an opening. I'll show you with my hands. There's an opening maybe about that wide, maybe about that high. He crawled underneath that from the floor up. He crawled underneath that, and then he got up there where the driver of the bus was. Yes, metal.
He was not handcuffed when he ran off. He did not say that. He was able to get out of the shackles and the handcuffs, and he was unsecured. He ran off unsecured.
What are the expectations of that back officer and Dr.
He's seated. And he didn't see we don't believe he saw what was going on either. This is still part of our ongoing investigation.
Tina, thank you for becoming a channel member. Thank you to all the people who leave super chats and become a part of this community. You guys are what makes it great. And thank you so much.
Both officers are being very cooperative and talking about where the driver of the bus was. Yes, 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 metal.
What are the expectations of that back officer as he stands back there? Is he standing and
He's seated. He's seated. And he didn't see what we don't believe he saw what was going on either. This is still part of our ongoing investigation. Both officers are being very cooperative and talking about what happened. Let me tell you this, these two officers acted very heroically for what they dealt with and how they dealt with it. The officer that fired the shots with his shotgun into the rear wheels of the bus, that was smart thinking on his part to do that, to disable that bus. Had he not done that, there's no telling where we might have this bus right now with 15 or 16 inmates on it, somewhere here, you know, who knows where here in East Texas. But, you know, we don't know what could have happened. Officer Breiniger was very smart to fire those shots into the rear wheels of that bus. Officer Smith, again, he acted heroically as well to make sure that Lopez did not get his gun. So both officers would be commended for their heroic actions.
Folks who live in rural Leon County or beyond, I mean, I lock their doors regularly.
You know, again, I see this from Arctic Wolf Angel of Humanity. She says, same in Wisconsin. We travel armed officers deep with high profile inmates. I would say this guy, he killed someone in 2005, and then he shot at a deputy. So he's serving shot a deputy. So he's serving 2 life sentences. You would think, you know, ties to the drug cartels in Mexico. You would think that this would be, you would double up on security. Now, I understand that everyone is understaffed and whatnot, but you're talking about public safety here, folks. This is public safety, and this is a major issue. And I'm going to talk to you about how many inmates a year in the United States are escapees who escape the state, local, and federal prison system. And you will be astonished and astounded of how many get out. We're going to get into that in a few minutes.
The advice to the public right now is, if at all possible, stay in your homes. And if you see this guy, do not engage him. Call 911 immediately. Let us know where you saw him, or if you see any kind of suspicious activity, call 911, contact your local law enforcement, have them deal with the situation. Don't try and do it on your own. Again, he's got a life sentence for a capital murder where he killed a man with a pickaxe, and he's also got an attempted capital murder conviction for shooting a gun at a police officer. So he's somebody that is very dangerous. Thank you, Clay. Yes, we've got about 300 over 300 law enforcement officials out here. Let me tell you, we do have the FBI that is now assisting us in the investigation. Also got the U.S. Marshals Service assisting. We've got various law enforcement agencies around in the area. We've got Leon County Sheriff's Department. We've got Jewett Police Department. Let me commend the Jewett. The Jewett Police Department was the first law enforcement agency on the scene when the bus crashed yesterday. They were the ones that were first on the scene. The officer was driving down the road, saw what had happened, and he immediately began helping Officer Breiniger and Officer Smith. So we've got Department of Public Safety here. You can see them behind me with the roadblock. Highway 7 between Centerville and Marquay is shut down. If anybody is planning on driving down Highway 7 from Centerville westbound, make another plan. You're not going to get through there. Also, Highway 79 that runs from Marquay up to Buffalo, we are asking the public to please not use that roadway as well, because that's part of our perimeter. Interstate 45, we can't really do anything about it. It's a major thoroughfare. But if anybody sees anything suspicious along I-45, please let us know. So we've got a triangular area that is set up. Centerville westbound on Highway 7, northeast on Highway 79 up to Buffalo, Buffalo back down to Centerville on I-45.
I can ask, as we've been standing here waiting for the next presser.
Yeah.
I
You talking about our trucks?
Yeah.
Our trucks are part of the investigation. They're going out to the perimeter.
Yeah, so that's just kind of switching.
Yeah, shift change. Yeah.
All right, so that's what we're looking at right here. That was from Friday. I have an update from today. Let me just go back on the screen. When people ask questions like who's more dangerous, Vicky White, Casey and Vicky White, any inmate who is capable of taking another human's life is very dangerous. Those are the worst of the worst. And we call them the WOW, the worst of the worst. And those are the WOW inmates. Those are the ones that you do not want released into society. And when that happens, the public at large is in extreme danger. Anybody and everybody that comes into contact with this monster is in extreme danger. And that's why we continually hear him say, do not approach him. Do not try to take him down. Do not try to be a hero, because Gonzalo Lopez is an evil monster and he has no qualms. He's got no problems with killing another human being. Here's a look at the perpetrator. It says a $7,500 reward. This is not updated in the Texas Department of Public Safety. But there's the look of evil right there. And on the right side of his neck, he has a burn mark. So I'll put that up so we could see it. And here it is on the screen. I'm going to blow in on it. It almost looks like a hickey, when you were young and in high school and you would suck on your significant other's neck and you'd get blood bruising. It's a burn mark. And that's what you're seeing on his neck. So that's the look. That's the face of evil. And the reason I used his face as the thumbnail on this video is because when you guys share it out, or when this video goes out there into Twitter and Facebook and wherever it gets shared on Google and the suggested feeds, his face will be there. So that's why I put a picture of him on the thumbnail of this video. And again, when you have a person like this who has aggravated assaults, who has, murder with a pickaxe, and he was holding somebody for $40,000 of hostage, which was drug cartel money. So it was drug money, and it was a debt that he owed or was owed back to the Mexican drug cartel. And he slaughtered that guy with a pickaxe. So that was in 2005. And here we are in 2022, fast forward, and we have a debacle, to say the least, on our hands, a debacle. I'm going to play a little bit of my good friend Brian Enton from News Nation. He did some coverage last night of this. He is going to be joining me tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Brian Enton from News Nation Prime. He is their lead investigative reporter. He was promoted just in April to national news correspondent. Brian is awesome. He's going to come and join us at 11. We're going to talk about Gonzalo Lopez. We're going to talk about Casey White and our great friend who is, in my eyes, a hero, the car wash manager, James Stinson. James Stinson. So he is the car wash manager. We're going to talk about him. And we got a bunch of questions that were sent in by the viewers. So that is awesome. That is definitely awesome. That we got a bunch of user feedback from you guys. So thank you to everyone who went over onto DutyRon.com and put your questions in for Brian. That will be 11 a.m. tomorrow morning Eastern Standard Time. So I don't know where it will fall for all of you guys, but let's rock and roll with a little of Brian Enton's news coverage on this. This is from News Nation Prime last night. So let me get this queued up for you guys.
No murderer, so dangerous that just within Texas, another Fugitive is on the run. A murderer so dangerous that just within the last few hours, authorities have added him to the state's top 10 most wanted fugitives list. His name is Gonzalo Lopez. He is serving a life sentence for capital murder and attempted capital murder. Authorities say he assaulted a corrections officer on a bus that was transporting prisoners yesterday, crashed that bus, and then he got away. Authorities are warning people in that area tonight, lock your doors, lock your cars, and stay inside. Some schools even went on lockdown within the last few hours. Senior national correspondent Brian Enton joining us live in Centerville, Texas tonight with the latest on this manhunt. Brian.
Marnie, this is especially disturbing because this man is so dangerous and because there have been no sightings of him up until now. So many questions about how this could have happened. We are told that he was shackled at his feet and he also had handcuffs on. He somehow managed to get out of both of those. He used some kind of tool to break into the cage where the driver was and managed to take over the bus.
The search for Gonzalo Lopez continues.
In Centerville, Texas, all eyes are on the woods just west of Interstate 75.
12, 13 cars, helicopters, horses, dogs. Sometimes there's been 200-300 people right here.
Seamus Kavanaugh has been watching since this all began Thursday afternoon. He says he figures with this many law enforcement out, Centerville is the safest place in Texas right now. In all, more than 300 law enforcement officers have swarmed this area, and there is now a $15,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Gonzalo Lopez.
This man is a very dangerous person. If you see him, do not attempt to take him into custody by yourself. Contact 911. Have local law enforcement deal with him. He is someone not to be reckoned with by yourself.
So why are they so concerned about Lopez? Well, not only did he overpower 2 guards in yesterday's escape, his rap sheet includes several extremely violent attacks.
He has a capital murder conviction out of Hidalgo County. He also has an attempted capital murder conviction out of Webb County. He killed a man in 2005 with a pickaxe after kidnapping the man and asking for a ransom for his return.
Of course, the biggest question now is where is the fugitive? But as the investigation into what happened continues, there are other tough questions the Department of Criminal Justice must answer. Can you describe the restraints that he had on in the bus? Was he shackled? And how is it possible that he was able to get out of those?
He was wearing handcuffs. He had handcuffs, leg restraints also. How he got out of them, we do not know.
So he got out of the handcuffs and the leg restraints?
Yeah, he got up into the driver's compartment. Are you aware of what happened?
Yes.
He got up into the driver's compartment. He had nothing on his legs or in his head when he took.
So there you have it. Robert Hurst, the spokesperson for the Texas Department of Corrections and Public Works, Public Safety, he is right there telling Brian Enton, our good friend who's going to be on with us tomorrow at 11 a.m., that he had no shackles and no handcuffs on and was able to get in to that secured area. This is not only, Lisa Marie, extremely scary, it's extremely dangerous. Very, very dangerous. We'll listen to it again.
He was wearing handcuffs. He had the man and asking for a ransom for his return.
Of course, the biggest question now is where is the fugitive? But as the investigation into what happened continues, there are other tough questions the Department of Criminal Justice must answer. Can you describe the restraints that he had on in the bus? Was he shackled? And how is it possible that he was able to get out of those?
He was wearing handcuffs. He had handcuffs, leg restraints also. How he got out of them, we do not know.
So he got out of the handcuffs and the leg restraints?
Yeah, he got up into the driver's compartment. Are you aware of what happened?
Yes.
He got up into the driver's compartment. He had nothing on his legs or in his head when he took out across the cow pasture.
And so right now there is a $15,000 reward for any information that could lead to this inmate. They're using horses and they've got dogs out in the woods behind me, and they expect to search all night long. Marnie?
Wow. Brian, do they think that he's still in that area? What indication do they have in terms of evidence where he may be?
They do. They say they have not had any sightings of him, but they believe he is still in this area. They basically set up a perimeter. When I was driving in along the highway, you could see, every 500 feet or so, there was someone just watching the wood line. They still believe he's somewhere right in the vicinity of this area.
Well, the other thing we keep hearing is how dangerous Gonzalo Lopez is, his criminal history. What more can you share about his past?
I mean, it doesn't get much more dangerous than this. First of all, he was convicted of killing someone with a pickaxe. Imagine how brutal that is. He's also been in trouble before for shooting at deputies. So obviously the officers here on the scene can't take.
So there's a look at his criminal history. 1996, convicted of 2 counts of aggravated assault. Lopez was convicted of capital murder in 2006 and aggravated kidnapping. And Lopez, in 2007, was convicted of an attempted capital murder. That was the shooting of police officers, shooting at police officers. The 2006 incident on the screen here, the dates are a little conflicting because I had 2004 and 2005. But listen, again, these are valid charges here, and this is what his rap sheet looks like. He's a violent and evil person.
Any chances?
All right, standing by, Brian.
They still believe he's
His criminal history. What more can you share about his past?
I mean, it doesn't get much more dangerous than this. First of all, he was convicted of killing someone with a pickaxe. Imagine how brutal that is. He's also been in trouble before for shooting at deputies. So obviously the officers here on the scene can't take any chances.
All right, standing by. Brian, we'll be talking to you again shortly. Thank you. I want to bring in Robert Hurst now with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to talk more about this fugitive manhunt. Sir, we appreciate you coming on tonight. So give us an update. What's the latest on the search?
Well, let me add to what Brian just told you. The reward is now up to $22,500. An additional $7,500 has been put into the bank by Crime Stoppers here in Texas. So if anybody has information about this man, we need to get him in custody again, Gonzalo Lopez. If anybody's got information about him, there's a $22,500 reward for him.
He is dangerous, as dangerous as they come, Robert. What is your message to the public right now if they come face to face with him?
Do not deal with him by yourself. Contact law enforcement officials, call 911. Do not engage this man on your own. He is very dangerous. As Brian told you, he killed a man with a pickaxe back in 2005. He also shot at sheriff's deputies in 2004. And now he's injured one of our officers during that takeover of the bus yesterday afternoon. And he's out there somewhere. We are not going to take this lightly. We are going to get him back in custody.
How quickly were you all able to set up a perimeter, and how far does that perimeter extend right now?
Well, we set it up pretty quick after this happened. We were very fortunate that there were law enforcement officers that were already in the area from the Jewett Police Department as well as the Leon County Sheriff's Department. When this incident happened yesterday afternoon, they immediately set up a perimeter along with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. It only took us maybe about 30, 45 minutes to get this perimeter.
All right, so there you have it. There's a look at the map. The border to the south is going to be west of this location. So it's a considerable distance considering he was on foot. But it's been argued in the chat, and it's a good argument. I don't think that he just did this on a whim. I don't feel that Gonzalo Lopez just said, you know what, I'm going to give this a whirl today. Hey, let's see if this works. This was a well thought out, probably plan. You know, we look back to Casey White and Vicky White. He had Casey White had help from the inside from one of the jail administrators. Who knows if this guy got help from the inside? Who knows if somebody searched him and just let that go? I hope and pray that it wasn't anybody from the professional side that helped and aided him, because how, I'm going to curse, but how in the did he get that weapon that he used to stab that officer and stab him in the chest and in his left hand? And how did he get out of those leg shackles and have an item that was strong enough to break underneath the barrier, the safety barrier, to get inside to the compartment in the cockpit of the bus? And that perp was able to drive that bus off. It's unbelievable, man. I am super pissed about this, and this is a travesty of justice, and we have to do better. You know, We ask our police across our nation to do better. I'm asking our corrections to do better. You know, you got to get your act together. You got to get together, because this is a dangerous human being. It's not even human. This is a subhuman. This is an evil monster that cannot be out in society once captured. We have tons of killers who are walking amongst us. There's tons of killers across the country. But when you have 2,300 plus inmates a year escape from U.S. jails, and in 2010, that number was 5,000. In 2010, 5,000 inmates were able to escape, and we didn't hear anything about it. But it's been decreasing as the years go forward. And in 2019, that 2,300 figure was less than it was in 2018, which was 2,500. That's a lot of people. So let's let the rest of this play. Yeah, it really makes you wonder.
Set up. The perimeter goes down Highway 7 out of Centerville, westbound over to Highway 79 to a town called Marquay. And then from Marquay up Highway 79 to a town called Buffalo. And then from Buffalo back down to Centerville on Interstate 45. We have, with the Texas Department of Public Safety, we have shut down Highway 7 going westbound. So any traffic that's coming through here, it's not going to go westbound, so that we can maintain this perimeter. Also, if anybody is using Highway 79, we're encouraging the public, please not use Highway 79 if at all possible. It is a major thoroughfare, but we would appreciate it if the public did not use Highway 79 as well. A lot of truck traffic goes up and down Highway 79, so we're just trying to keep that at a minimum. And also Interstate 45, we can't do anything about shutting down I-45, but we are asking the public to please be very aware of what's going on here. If they're traveling down I-45 going between Dallas and Houston, Centerville is the halfway point between Dallas and Houston on I-45. So if anybody's using it, we would appreciate it if the public did not.
Let's take a peek at this map again. Just pause the sound for a minute. I want to take a peek at this map.
Interstate 45, we can't do anything about shutting down I-40.
So again, you know, here is Houston. This is where the incident took place. So right in between, just north of Houston, and just south of Dallas. And this guy could have went to the east into Louisiana. He could have took south down to the Mexican border. I would think, if I was a gambling man, that he has, he didn't do this alone. He had someone pick him up, and he planned this out and is long gone. But it is what it is. You know, for me, this just is, it's unacceptable. Those are the best words that I could say. We got to do better, and this is unacceptable. You know, he could be anywhere, but I see with his ties to the Mexican cartel and his drug ties, I think he will go back home to what he is familiar with. And what he's familiar with is not law and order, it's crime and death. So this guy's a killer, and he's going to go right back to the thing that he knows how to do best, and that is murder. So he's definitely either heading that way or already into Mexico.
45, but we are asking the public to please be very aware of what's going on here. If they're traveling down I-45 going between Dallas and Houston, Centerville is the halfway point between Dallas and Houston on I-45. So if anybody's using that roadway, that interstate, we're also asking them to please be very aware of what's going on here.
Let's talk more about the escape. Any evidence indicating that he had a plan prior to getting out of those shackles and overtaking the bus driver?
It's part of our ongoing investigation. I can't address that right now. It's still part of the ongoing investigation.
Is there a video camera on that bus that can help as you guys piece together all the clues?
Unfortunately, there is not.
What more can you tell us about?
But unfortunately, let me tell you this: the two officers that were in
and overtaking the bus.
Please be very aware of what's going on here.
Let's talk more about the.
Listen to what Marnie asks here. This is a great question that she asks. So if you missed it, I went back so you could hear it. This is a really good question. Fiber Floozy, thank you for the super chat, $5. Centerville is 2.5 hours from Austin. Much love. And I know Fiber Floozy is familiar with that area. Ron Daniels, thank you for the super sticker. Much appreciated.
Escape. Any evidence indicating that he had a plan prior to getting out of those shackles and overtaking the bus driver?
Good question.
It's part of our ongoing investigation. I can't address that right now. It's still part of the ongoing investigation.
Is there a video camera?
That means yes. I've been in the business long enough to know when you can't answer that question hands down, that means yeah. That's not a oh hell no. That's a yeah.
On that bus that can help as you guys piece together all the clues?
Unfortunately, there is not.
What more can you tell us about?
But unfortunately, let me tell you this: the two officers that were involved yesterday in the situation, Officer Breniger and Officer Smith, those two officers that were on the bus, they are being very cooperative with our investigators, talking about what happened. And let me tell you, these two officers were very heroic in what they did. They were dealt with a very serious situation with this guy that you know what his background is like. Officer Smith was in a physical altercation with him. He tried to get Officer Smith's gun. Officer Smith made sure that he did not get his gun, and Officer Breniger shot at him with his shotgun as well as his pistol as he was fleeing the scene. So the officers were very heroic in making sure that this situation that was already bad did not get worse.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what do you think this inmate would have done with that gun if he had got that gun from that corrections officer? Anybody in the chat care to answer that question? What would have happened if, God forbid, that prisoner got that correction officer's gun? He would have killed him. He would have shot and killed him, and would have gone after the other correction officer as well, because those two were what was keeping him from freedom or staying incarcerated. So that was a fight for his life. And Lieutenant Pete Pranzo, who is here, hello, boss. You know the deal, Lieutenant Pete Pranzo. Mass casualties was a major potential there. And what's almost unbelievable is that the other 15 inmates on that bus did not escape. He did not help them because he didn't give two flying about them. He cared only about himself and getting them out. He was not on a mission to spring everybody free like in Con Air. He wanted himself out, and that was it. But Lieutenant Pete Pranzo, thank you for being a good friend, and thank you for serving in the New York City Police Department Elite Street Crime Unit. Harlem Raiders, Lieutenant Pete Pranzo, retired NYPD lieutenant. The officer fought for his life, and thank God he didn't let him get that gun.
Shot at him with his shot. Very serious situation with this guy that you know what his background is like. Officer Smith was in a physical altercation with him. He tried to get Officer Smith's gun. Officer Smith made sure that he did not get his gun, and Officer Breniger shot at him with his shotgun as well as his pistol as he was fleeing the scene. So the officers were very heroic in making sure that this situation that was already bad did not get worse.
Yeah, no doubt. It could have been much, much worse. What weapon did he use to stab the officer who was driving the bus?
We don't know. We're still trying to determine what it was that he used. It was some type of a sharp object that he used to both get underneath the doorway. He cut out that metal portion of the doorway. Whatever he used to cut that out is also what he used to stab Officer Smith in the left hand and also stab him in the chest.
As part of protocol and procedures before these inmates are loaded up onto a bus, are they searched? Are they strip searched for any possible weapons or anything that they could do something like this?
Great question.
Yes.
And did that happen?
Yes.
And they found nothing?
At some point, he got some type of an object. We don't know where, but at some point, he got that object that he used to get into the driver's compartment and also to assault Officer Smith.
Are you
I gotta say, Marnie, this questioning here was uncomfortable to say the least, but it was definitely necessary. These are great questions she's popping off at him, and did you see how he really? I mean, he answered them quickly, but man, these are great questions.
Aware at any point, is he getting help, and does he have any connection? As part of protocol and procedures before these inmates are loaded up onto a bus, are they searched? Are they strip searched for any possible weapons or anything that they could do something like this?
Yes.
And did that happen?
Yes.
And they found nothing?
At some point, he got some type of an object. We don't know where, but at some point, he got that object that he used to get into the driver's compartment and also to assault Officer Smith.
Are you aware at any point, is he getting help, and does he have any connections to the cartels, given his criminal past with drugs?
I can't address that.
All right. Any other thing you can pass along tonight on the search?
I can't address that means pretty much yes. Yeah, Girl Friday, he definitely didn't deflect. He answered, but it was just, I'm just pointing out about how a good reporter asks the right questions. These weren't ridiculous questions to ask. These were very, this was very important. It was pertaining to how does this happen? How does this guy get searched and they miss an actual tool and a weapon that you can cut through a metal gate and cut through the bottom of a metal gate and get into the compartment? I mean, that's not just some flimsy jailmade jailhouse tool. Last time I checked, you need to use like kind of bolt cutters or bolt clippers to clip wire. You can't use a shank to start, manipulating and maneuvering, pieces of metal. So, anyways, my blood gets boiling on this. Sana Elise Holt Johnson, thank you for the note. The note, $30 super sticker. Appreciate it. Thank you for always being a good friend and a contributor. And thank you for being a channel member. Much appreciated. Sana Elise Holt Johnson. Thank you. Yeah, Karen, how do you hide that? In record time. How do you hide it? How do you hide it? How does that get by? And how does the two officers that were transporting, how do they miss that too? Because I have done thousands of prisoner transports in my time. I've done thousands of prisoners transports. And when I get somebody from another cop or another corrections department, I don't trust them. Not because I don't trust them, like trust them. I don't trust unless I know that I searched this guy and that he doesn't have anything, or girl, and they can't stab me in the back of my neck while I'm driving the car. So, could he have had inside help, Rose? Yeah. This seems like it. Somebody who was able to smuggle him something. So I don't know that to be certain, but it sounds pretty much like there was he had some kind of help. Unsolved crimes uncovered. Maybe it was pre-planted somehow. Yeah. It doesn't make sense, Jen. It really doesn't make sense. Let's listen to the rest of this because this there's still a little more juice here to listen to.
The manpower, the people that
Type of an object. We don't know where, but at some point he got that object that he used to get into the driver's compartment and also to assault Officer Smith.
Are you aware at any point, is he getting help, and does he have any connections to the cartels, given his criminal past with drugs?
I can't address that.
All right. Any other thing you can pass along tonight on the search? The manpower, the people that are out there looking for this dangerous fugitive.
We've got in excess of 300 law enforcement officials here looking for him. It's gone past 24 hours now. And the word that we want to get out to the public is be very aware that this man is very, very dangerous. And if you see him or if you have any indication that he's been on your property, please contact the local law enforcement officials through 911. Be very aware of what's going on here. If anybody lives in this area, we've gotten the word out to them to, please either stay in your home, or if you do leave your home, lock it up good, lock up your vehicles. We don't want anything to happen where he gets into somebody's house and causes a worse situation inside somebody's home, or gets in a vehicle and causes a worse situation, or maybe is even able to get out of the area. We just want to get this guy back in custody.
All right. Well, our best to you and your teams, and we'll be checking back in with you. Robert Hurst with the Texas Department of Justice. Thank you for your time tonight, sir.
You're welcome.
Jack Donson is retired from the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and he is joining us now. Jack, appreciate you coming on. Let's start with this case. You just heard Robert Hurst there describing how this fugitive was able to get out of his shackles and overtake the officer who was driving the bus and get away. What stands out to you about the circumstances here?
Yeah, this is very unusual as far as a bus operation. For somebody to get out of their shackles and overtake the bus is unique, actually. It's as far as like protocols go, he talked about the strip search before they go into the bus. It's not unusual for people to get out of restraints, but I have to assume there might have been a breach of protocol as far as when he got in the bus to have that object to, facilitate the escape of what he did.
Right. Not only to get out of the handcuffs, the shackles, but then to try to get through that door. Typically on a bus like this, I mean, what is the barrier between the inmates and the officers?
Yeah, well, something that struck out to me is that ordinarily, I'm federal, I have a federal career, so we always had a chase vehicle. So it would be unusual for two people to go out with a busload of people and, and do a movement. So there's usually a chase vehicle. So I have to assume this was.
So there's the conversation that I was talking about, what we see in New York, the chase vehicle. This is a Federal Bureau of Prisons retired professional here. And he right away, right out of the gate, and Lieutenant Pete Pranzo, you're right, 100%. Lieutenant Pete Pranzo, retired NYPD lieutenant, says, so correct, DutyRon. Every change of custody by officers or change of location or mode of transportation requires a fresh search because lives are at stake. But we hear this federal guy come right out and say it's not commonplace when you have 16 prisoners in a big bus to do it with two guys. It's just not safe. You need, I would say, at least four guys. And where's the chase car? Where's the car if there is some type of cutoff and someone comes and cuts them off and there's a planned hit to break 16 inmates out on the freeway, on the highway in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we see it in movies, but it could happen, right? It was two officers, Bunny, two officers to 16 inmates. But let's listen to what he has to say.
Isolated to the two officers. Out to me is that ordinarily, I'm federal, I have a federal career, so we always had a chase vehicle. So it would be unusual for two people to go out with a busload of people and, and do a movement. So there's usually a chase vehicle. So I have to assume this was isolated to the two officers. And, so to me, it's definitely, unusual for him to get out of the restraints, which is not as unusual, but then to have some kind of an object to get to the driver. That's definitely unique.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's almost like we were talking in the newsroom today, the movie Con Air, right? It's reminiscent of that. And we're just glad that more inmates weren't able to get away in the process. Talk about, though, the vulnerabilities in transport, because as soon as you leave the secure prison facility, whatever it might be, and you transport inmates, you open the doors to a lot of different possibilities. So what steps need to be taken, not just in this instant, but every day to make sure things like this don't happen?
Well, you said an important thing is that in a prison environment, everything is very controlled. So like staff, all the protocols, extremely controlled. Once you step out of that controlled environment, obviously, that's where things can happen. Escapes seem to be on the uprise, but from secure environments, they really aren't. So in the transport, it's basically definitely.
I have to contradict a little bit of what he's saying here. Escapes are not on the rise because I've been looking at the numbers. As soon as I started with Casey White and Vicky White, I started right away in my detective's mind, started to do my own little checklist. And I wanted to know what historical data is out there on prison escapes. I wanted to know how many prisoners get busted out by correction officers and staff. I wanted to know how many slip out and do the walkaways that we hear, that where they can just walk out and walk away from a prison. I wanted all of those numbers, and I did my due diligence. You guys always know Crime Time with DutyRon. I always have notepads. I have my notepad. I got stickums all over the place. I'm going to get a second camera behind me so you guys can see the shot coming from behind me. And you could see all of my notes and all of I have 3 monitors here. So as the show's going on, I'm looking and I'm researching. But prison escapes have been on the decline, not on the uptick. So nothing but love. Thank you for the super chat. She sends in $100 and says, between our police force and the public, I pray this man is found. I must say, I truly hope when he's found that it's not in someone's home where he's committed further crimes. Scary dude. Let me tell you something, D. You are 100% on point with that message. The public is in danger wherever he is. And I don't know where that is. Neither does these officials. So nobody knows where this evil monster, this murderer, this killer, nobody knows where he is and where he'll strike next and what he'll do next. So thank you for that generous super chat. So I had to stop it just to talk a little bit about that because it's not up on the uptick.
Controlled environment, obviously, that's where things can happen. Escapes seem to be on the uprise, but from secure environments, they really aren't. So in the transport, it's basically definitely a more challengeable situation once you get out in the community. So obviously, when you have like the Vicky White situations where there's staff corruption, I'm not saying there was a breach of protocol in this case, but, when we talk about the strip search, people don't do thorough strip searches. People cut corners. A strip search is a strip search. Like somebody could actually have an object on their body in an orifice, to be honest with you. And if they're not paying attention to protocols, boom, they're on the bus and they have an object and now they can facilitate an escape.
Right. He's right about that because I've seen inmates secrete weapons and different items inside the orifices. That is, again, for the squeamish and for people that are like, ugh, that's gross. But yes, men, women, they will insert items that they can expel and use when they're being transported. And that's the dangerous part. And I've seen people double jointed get out of handcuffs. I've seen people somehow slip themselves out of the handcuffs, get like a slippery substance or spit. If their front handcuffs spit down and a spit will come on and they'll be, we've seen everything. We have seen everything. And anybody that works in the prisoner transport business has seen this stuff. And that's that's the situation. But yes, the U.S. Marshals, Elizabeth Myers, have been very busy. The FBI as well. Because the U.S. Marshals are taxed with hunting this manhunt to bring this guy to justice. So it is what it is.
Well, and it's speculative, but in order to do all that, get the object, in this case, do you need help? I mean, you need somebody who's giving you things, feeding you information, or can you do it on your own?
No, definitely do it on your own. Let's talk about the getting out of the restraints. Throughout my career, people can get out of restraints. It's really not that difficult to get out of restraints. Now getting out of restraints and having the object, now you start to, there's definitely different facets of this, but getting out of restraints is it's not unusual or atypical in a prison environment.
Really? That's surprising to me. I mean, then why have them if people can get out? Don't we need a better restraint?
Well, listen, we get into some like micro issues on, I have to,
I don't know.
like,
When we got a murderer on the run, it doesn't seem too micro to me. It seems very troubling.
no, I'm saying as far as micro, like at the federal level, not only do they have leg irons, handcuffs, they have what's called a black box and a belly chain. So in other words, the state protocols, the local protocols, everybody has their protocols. But at the federal level, aside from, again, leg irons, handcuffs, belly chain, black box, it's difficult in certain circumstances. And I don't know these exact circumstances, but people can get out of restraints.
And we saw it in this case, modern day Houdini. Let's just hope they catch him soon before he hurts anybody. Jack Johnson, appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for watching.
So there she is. That was a great report there, and that was just last night on newsnationnow.com. So that's Marnie, and she did a great job interviewing all the different folks that she spoke to. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., tomorrow Eastern Standard Time, I will have from News Nation Brian Enton on tomorrow morning. We're going to talk to him about Gonzalo Lopez. We're going to talk about Casey White and Vicky White, and we're going to talk about James Stinson, the car wash manager. And, is he going to get that $25,000 reward? And there is a family member of one of Casey White's victims that he's still not stood trial for yet. And her family is running a GoFundMe for the car wash manager. So they're going to pay him whatever they get out of that GoFundMe as a reward, irregardless. So we're going to talk to Brian Enton tomorrow at 11 a.m. early. And the reason I'm doing it at 11 is because Brian is busy. He is in Texas on this case. So we are going to talk about this case as well, and what he's uncovered and what he is doing as far as that's concerned. But we do have a lot of questions about the sheriff in Alabama, because Brian went straight to the Lauderdale County Jail. I think he got a walkthrough. I think he was inside there. I'm almost certain. And he had several interviews. He actually interviewed Vicky White's mom. So Brian Enton went to Vicky White's home where she was staying with her mom before all this happened. And she took the bad road. She went down the wrong road. But he went into the home and saw all the plaques and saw all of her Officer of the Year awards. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about that. So if you have any questions for tomorrow's show, go over to DutyRon.com. You could go right over to DutyRon.com and send in questions for tomorrow's show. Here it is, DutyRon.com. That's all you have to do is put in the search bar, DutyRon.com, and just leave me a message. And in the subject line, put Brian Enton, questions for Brian Enton. So that's going to be tomorrow, 11 a.m. My time, Eastern Standard Time. So check your local times and make your adjustments, set your alarm clocks and things of that nature. But here's the update from day 3. This is a short report. It's not a great report, but it is local, and they put it together. I'm going to have to put my second earpiece in because this is going to be coming out from 2 sets of audio. So I want to be able to hear it. So I have that just hanging out in my shirt. So there you got a little view of that. So this is from this morning, local, boots on the ground, local news reporter, and you'll get an idea of what's going on Saturday morning.
Sarah Wilson reporting in Leon County here early this morning for KX News. Authorities just now told us that they are still zigzagging all around the perimeter in search of escaped Texas inmate Gonzalo Lopez. They say that they have no reason to believe that he has left this area on Highway 7 just outside of Centerville. They say right now they've gotten some ghost sightings, which is just people saying that they think they may have saw him, but nothing confirming that Lopez has been spotted since he escaped the bus. Authorities say that he is considered to be armed and dangerous. They've now been searching for over 30 hours again. That reward is still out for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice at $22,500 for anybody who has any information that will lead to the arrest of Lopez. Right now, they say that Lopez is serving a capital murder charge and an attempted capital murder charge in 2 separate counties. Soon, we'll have video on our website, kxtv.com, of police, Texas DPS troopers, canine units, the whole 9, all canvassing the area on foot, looking for Lopez. Again, authorities are urging you to not engage with Lopez if you see him, but to call police immediately.
So there's the look from local on the ground, and I'm going to play this again without the audio, and then we'll talk a little bit. So as you can see, bloodhounds, horseback, many man hours of searching. There's many foot posts. You see this gentleman standing there with a sidearm. You got state troopers. You got local police. You have horseback here, as you see on the screen, and the dogs. They're out searching night and day for this guy. And, somebody said in the chat, hopefully the weather has taken its toll if he's still out there on foot. I don't think he's out in the woods. I don't think he's on foot. But if he is, listen, you're going to have lots of things in the, lots of critters, lots of wildlife. Drones and helicopters have been up, by the way. Drones, helicopters, people on foot. I mean, this is an exhausting search that's going to go on until they find this guy. So there's the Texas Department of Public Safety, Highway Patrol, and whatnot. So that's what you have going on from Texas. Again, dangerous situation. I want to say to you guys all, thank you for the engagement. Thank you for sharing these videos. Thank you for liking the videos. Tomorrow, Montana Mama sends in a $10 super chat. She says, Sunday will be a great show. I agree. I'm so looking forward to interviewing Brian Enton. I think he is going to give us a great insight into this and the Casey White and Vicky White investigation. Don't forget, Brian has covered all of the Crime Time with DutyRon cases that we have covered. He was on Cassie Carley. He covered, Summer Wells. He went over to Naomi Arion, the case over in Fernley. He goes all over the place. And Brian has covered some of the most riveting stories, and he gives it professionally with respect. And that's why I really like him. Is he's a sharp reporter. He knows the questions to ask, and he really puts his heart and soul into it. So if you go over and look at his Twitter, I'm going to get that up so we could see Brian Enton's Twitter. He is always keeping you updated, I want to just show quickly Brian's Twitter page. So here's a look at Brian Enton's Twitter from News Nation Now. This was 1 hour ago. The last sighting of Texas escapee Gonzalo Lopez was Thursday afternoon. Officers spotted him under a tree in his boxers. Authorities believe he is still within their perimeter. He is a Mexican mafia member with gang connections. This is coming from Brian Enton. That's coming from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. I read that myself. He is a Mexican mafia member with gang connections in the U.S. and Mexico. So that's pretty telling right there. I'll make that big so you guys can see it. So this is coming straight from Brian Enton's page, and there's a good view, if you will, of this evil monster. So they spotted him with boxers on. That might have been from the officers on Thursday. Let me just go back to this. Okay, I'll highlight this whole thing. So the last sighting, I'll highlight this whole thing. The last sighting of Texas escapee Gonzalo Lopez, this was just an hour ago, was Thursday afternoon, which is the 12th. Thursday was the 12th of May. Officers spotted him under a tree in his boxers. This has to be the correction officers that had the fight of their life with him. Authorities believe he is still within their perimeter, within that perimeter there. He is a Mexican mafia member with gang connections in the U.S. and Mexico. Troubling, right? Troubling. So here we have it. I'm going to go back to Brian Enton's page, and let's look. All right, here's a post from 1 hour ago. This is from Brian Enton, and these are all things that we'll talk to him about tomorrow. It is possible a car with an associate of Lopez was following the prison bus and picked him up, but officials here say it's unlikely, and they believe he is hiding in the brush, waiting for search crews to leave. They say they won't leave until they find him. So this is some speculation here from an hour ago. 7 hours ago, still no word on whether car wash manager James Stinson will get the reward for helping him locating Casey and Vicky White. This is the latest statement from the U.S. Marshals provided to News Nation. So U.S. Marshals say when determining if a tipster gets compensated by a reward in full or partially, the U.S. Marshals Service considers if the tip provided actionable information to the investigation and whether the tip led to the actual arrest. I believe it did. According to the statement, the United States Marshal Service may need weeks to complete this entire evaluation process. The United States Marshal Service will distribute reward money equitably and based on the totality of facts regarding the helpfulness towards the conclusion of the investigation and ultimate arrest. Now we know what we're being told, right? We know what we're being told by the news, by Brian Enton and by the news that has reported this story. The U.S. Marshals were doing their work behind the scenes, and they're going to base all of that together. And let me tell you this, I would say this, they would rather pay this reward than to not pay it, because I feel strongly that if that video evidence was not provided to them based on what we know, that they would not have made that arrest. I feel strongly, again, I'll say it again, I feel strongly that the evidence from the video showing that Cadillac, based on what we as civilians have seen, is what led them to that bolo and that officer on his way home seeing that Cadillac in that parking lot of the hotel, the Motel 41. And if James didn't provide that from the video, I don't think that they knew that she had that Cadillac. But I don't know what they had in their case file. So again, to play devil's advocate here, I don't know if they did in fact know about it, but they seemed pretty hot and heavy to James, to the car wash manager. Remember, he said, they said to him, well, we have agents on their way to you right now. So I remember that. I'm going to try to pull that up. Here, I got the video. Let's play. Anybody want to see this video of Brian Enton with James? I'm going to play it tomorrow on the show, but anybody here want to see it? Just let me know. It's $25,000. Yes. The reward is 25. Let me know in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you want to see this video where he talked about how the marshals said, hey, we got guys coming to you right now. So here's Brian Enton. I think a lot of you want to see it. So let's play it. This was from May. Hold on. Let me get the date. This is May 9th. It was uploaded May 9th of 2022. So here's Brian Enton with James. Again, remember, this is May 9th.
I'll bring you in, James, because James, and I'm going to have you stay close to me because the microphone is going to pick you up. James is the person who literally solved this entire thing, and it's awesome to have you with us right now. He is the manager at the car wash, and he first spotted Vicky and Casey at the car wash when their truck was discovered there. That was earlier this week. James, walk us, and you haven't spoken to anyone yet, and so no one has really heard your story. We've seen the surveillance video. Walk us through what happened at the beginning of the week, how you first spotted this truck at your car wash here in Evansville.
I think he gets a phone
Okay, how
call.
it went down, I noticed the car hanging out of the bay, which is unusual. It kept sitting there. This is on the 3rd on Tuesday. Every time I leave, the truck's still been there. I come back, still there. Next morning, I get up at 6 o'clock to take my granddaughter to school. It's still there. I take her to school at Bossy. Get back at 7:30. The truck's still there. I walk up to the truck, and I think, oh, my God, this is probably this guy from Alabama. And I walk and look in the truck because I think he could be dead, passed out, who knows. And so I backed up, and then I opened the door. The keys were in. I started up. The truck ran. I got away. I Googled the local police department's phone number because I didn't want to call 911. Send the cop out. The cop comes out and he said, well, there ain't nothing I can do. It's not reported stolen. He run the plates. So then he left. He come back. He looked in it again. He found a gun lock in the seat. He said, oh my God, there's a gun lock, but there ain't no guns around. So he left. Then he said, just do what you got to do. I called Tri-State Tow and had it towed.
And this was on Wednesday.
That's on Wednesday.
And when did you see the video and say, this guy looks like Casey White? Was that on Wednesday also?
No, that was on yesterday, Sunday.
That was yesterday.
U.S. Marshal Service called me. They sent me a text message called from Alabama. And they said, I heard you got a truck towed. I said, I did. I said, that's that guy from Alabama. He said, yes, it is. So he said, I got U.S. Marshals coming to you even as I speak. And they didn't show up till this morning.
James, if it wasn't for you looking at that video, calling the police, this may not have ended like this.
The U.S. Marshal said,
Let me just clear that up. Chick Eastwater says in all caps, gun lock. It was not a gun lock. It was a Glock speed loader. We come to find out after the fact that it was not a lock for the gun. It was a Glock 19 speed loader. That's what it was. And yes, Brian Enton from News Nation is coming on tomorrow, 11 a.m. Sunday morning. He'll be on Crime Time with DutyRon.
not to show what they're driving, because I've got her picking him up on surveillance on my cameras. And I told him, I called him back. I said, I got her. She's still with him. She picked him up. And he said, we think they're still in the Evansville area. Obviously they are. So
yeah, and you told me earlier you knew what kind of car they fled in, but you weren't going to put that out because you didn't want to compromise
They asked me not to. The marshals asked me not to.
And the way this ended now, I mean, a chase, it's upside down. What do you make of that?
I knew it's how it's going to end. I knew it. Either that or one local cop could have pulled him over. He would have shot and killed him. It took a team of law enforcement to do this. So.
Well, great work, James. It's a pleasure to meet you. It's people like you who solve these things.
If you see something, say something.
See something, say something. It shows that it works.
It works.
So thank you, James. Great work. So you heard from James himself, basically here in Evansville, Indiana. He spotted the truck earlier this week, went and looked at his surveillance video at the car wash that he works at, realized that it was Casey and Vicky White, alerted U.S. Marshals. That brought all the attention here to Evansville, Indiana, about 217 miles from Florence, Alabama, where all of this started. And then you had this police chase that happened today. Police knew what they were looking for because James, he told them the vehicle that they left in from his car wash because they had dropped the truck, got into a new car, started pursuing that vehicle. We're told it was a high-speed chase, went through several different yards. And it ended right here near the airport in Evansville, Indiana. The latest from the sheriff is that Vicky and Casey White are in custody, that Vicky White is in the hospital.
All right, so I wanted to play that so you guys can hear. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow with Brian. We're going to talk a little bit about James and the reward money and where we're at with that. We're going to ask him some questions about, Vicky White, Casey White, and hopefully he can give us some answers. I know he'll answer to anything that he has knowledge of. So we'll have him on with us. We'll ask those questions. If you're not yet subscribed to this community, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload a video. Make sure you subscribe. It costs nothing. Tomorrow, the chat will be open to subscribers only. It's free to subscribe to this channel. All you got to do is hit the little subscribe button. So the only people that will be able to comment in the live tomorrow with Brian will be the subscribers. Again, subscribing is free, so don't get too caught up on that, but just definitely subscribe to the channel if you want to get in on the live chat. If you can't subscribe to the channel, then you could still send questions to DutyRon.com, and I will ask those questions of him. But I try to keep it to the people who are subscribers to this community to ask questions of some of these great guests that we have on. 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is the time for it. I will set a scheduled video, so you'll be able to go and set the notification bell, and I will also link it down below in the description of this video. So if you're not, again, subscribed, thank you, Gixer 1000. If you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe for this 11 o'clock live stream tomorrow morning with Brian Enton from News Nation. He will be joining us. This is a look at who is going to be on with us tomorrow morning. He'll probably be in his mobile like he usually is, driving around from scene to scene, and he will be on, and I think it will be a great show. I'm looking forward to it. So again, get your questions ready and make sure you just put questions for Brian in the chat. So that's day 3. Oh, I wanted to play this about Gonzalo. This is telling us about that it's not his first time escaping. It says this isn't the first time escaped convict Gonzalo Lopez has successfully gotten away from law enforcement. So I want to play this because I didn't even listen to it, but I saved it last minute before we went live. This is going to tell us, I think, I don't know what's in store here, but it just says Gonzalo Lopez has hidden from law enforcement before. His history includes shooting a deputy in 2004 and killing a man with a pickaxe on cartel orders. He killed that man with a pickaxe on orders from the Mexican cartel. So let's let this play and see what they have to tell us about Gonzalo Lopez.
A manhunt is still going strong for the second night after a dangerous inmate managed to escape from a prison transport bus.
Yeah, there's a $22,500 reward being offered for information leading to his capture. We told you yesterday Gonzalo Lopez was being transported to Huntsville for a medical appointment when he managed to overpower the bus driver and escape into the woods near the town of Centerville. That's about 2 hours north of Houston. Our Matt Doherty there live tonight with the latest on the search. And Matt, this guy sounds like a true escape artist.
Yeah, that's what we're being told. Residents out here tonight in Centerville are being told to stay inside their homes, lock their doors. This really is like something out of a movie. It's incredible that he's been able to evade police for over 30 hours now. It's even more remarkable, though, that he's done this before. As night 2 has fallen on the town of Centerville, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice still says it hasn't gotten a single reported sighting of Lopez. The inmate who was able to slip out of his shackles, cut through a metal partition, and stab a prison bus driver has had hundreds of officers on his tail for 2 days.
We've got the canines out here. We've got the mounted patrol out here. We got helicopters out here.
In 2004, Lopez claimed he and another man were on their way to kill someone in Laredo when a Webb County Sheriff's deputy tried to pull them over. Lopez claimed the driver fired at the deputy while he steered the vehicle during the chase. When the car ran out of gas, Lopez made a run for it, disappearing into the brush. Deputies say he was able to evade authorities on foot, calling his cartel associates to pick him up the next day. For a time, Lopez was able to stay on the run, living in various cities in South Texas and Mexico, but he was eventually captured. 2 years later, he was convicted of kidnapping a man and killing him with a pickaxe when his ransom couldn't be paid. After he was arrested, Lopez led authorities to where he buried the man's body.
This guy is very, very...
Wow. Okay, so I hadn't heard that part, that he led them to the location where he buried this guy that he killed with a pickaxe. Holy shit. I'll put that back. Man.
But he was eventually captured. 2 years run, living to pick him up the next day. For a time rush, deputies say he was able to evade authorities on foot, calling his cartel associates to pick him up the next day. For a time, Lopez was able to stay on the run, living in various cities in South Texas and Mexico, but he was eventually captured. 2 years later, he was convicted of kidnapping a man and killing him with a pickaxe when his ransom couldn't be paid. After he was arrested, Lopez led authorities to where he buried the man's body.
This guy is very, very dangerous.
Now, before this escape, Lopez wasn't eligible for parole until 2045. I asked earlier why the search efforts are still focusing on this area of Centerville. And I was told that because they really don't have any other information that would lead them anywhere else. Lend Mia, back to you.
It really is a daring escape. All right, Matt, thank you.
Abortion
What I'm hoping is, I just want to see if this is a continuation.
rights activists are prepared.
No. So what I wanted to say is that, you know, given the history of this evil perpetrator, this monster, right? He's a high-profile inmate. Given the history, I question the correction authorities, and I will ask my friend Anthony Ganji about this from Tier Talk. Why was there just 2 guys and no chase car when you're transporting to a medical appointment a known member of a Mexican cartel? I don't know, man. Things that make you go, right? So again, it's crazy. It's insanity. It's dangerous because everybody now in the southern area of Texas and in the neighboring states, you got to be on high alert. I would be locked and loaded if this guy was out in my neighborhood. If he was, I'll put it this way: if this guy was broke free from a prison here in New York, I would be on high alert, extremely high alert. So that being said, we have a situation on our hands down in southern Texas. I'm hoping that they capture this guy sooner than later because he is definitely an evil person. All right, folks, I think we have done enough. Again, if you're not yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe because tomorrow live chat with Brian Enton from News Nation will be open to the subscribers only with live chatting. It's not, you don't have to join membership. You don't have to pay. It's a free subscription. Just subscribe to the channel and you'll be able to comment in the chat. If you just want to watch it and you don't want to chat, then watching it, you don't have to subscribe. So that's how we do it for our special guests. I'm hoping that everybody here can make it. By a show of hands, who will be available on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time? Let's see how many people are going to be present for duty. Just put PFD in the chat if you're going to be present for duty. PFD. So just let me know if you're going to be PFD on tomorrow's live stream with Brian Enton. Let's see. A lot of PFDs. Richella Pranzo, Hills, Forsakes is going to be there. Rose is going to be here. Excellent. Kara, holy cow. A lot of PFDs. Woohoo. Awesome. All right. Yeah, it is early out west. It is definitely early on a Sunday morning. The replay will always be there. Lindsay has church. I understand. PFD. Tara says she won't miss it. Montana Mama. Thank you. All right, cool. So again, we'll talk to you very soon. I like to end all of these by saying, God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially all victims of crime and their family. They need us now more than ever. So let's say prayers for all the victims and the families that are out there. Again, there's people behind the murders that these vicious inmates commit, and they now go and now become very scared when these people get out there. So let's think about some of the victims behind Gonzalez. Gonzalo Lopez is a dangerous person. So we'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for the replay viewers. Thank you to the mods. Thank you for all the new subscribers. And thank you for everyone who's given super chats and super thanks. I'll see you on the next one. Peace from DutyRon. And thank you for tuning in. Till next time.